smoking head.
Hey, long range hunting, quick update on the ballistics gel testing videos. I know I've been saying I'm going to get them out there. Unfortunately, due to weather constraints and everything else, it just hasn't worked out. It's just one of those things. If we're going to film, we need good bright days, rain, ice, all that. Just it hasn't been helping. So hopefully soon I'll get out and knock out a couple of these videos, get the ballistics gel. But this has actually kind of been a blessing in disguise. One, for just the quality of it. And what I mean by that is, the camera that I have right now that I do these videos with, it's great for the long range stuff as far as zooming in. You know, it has 80 or 87 times zoom, so I can really zoom out there for those long range stuff. But unfortunately, I can't do slow motion with it. So as far as watching that bullet through the ballistics gel, it's coming down to having me film that and then try to edit it into slow motion. And it's just not the quality that it should be. It's not really doing the video or you justice. And so I bought today a new camera. It just got in today, and it's a new GoPro Hero 9 Black, and it does slow motion. It's got great quality. It's up to 5K. So it should make a huge difference. Now, again, want to do it everything right. So we have the new camera. I'll be using my regular camera to film myself and film shots. And then I'll be using the GoPro for the slow motion section of it. So I've got a bunch of blocks of ballistic gelatin. I've got 10 that I'm going to shoot at different distances. And then I've got one which is going to be a catch block. Now, a lot of people don't realize that, again, that bullet's going to go through, but I'm not going for a full block. These blocks are being cut to specific sizes to mimic that animal. So you're not just seeing what it'll do through a block or two. You're seeing what's going to happen to that actual deer. I've got deer hide, ribs, etc. So we're going to set it up to exact specifications, starting out with a white-tailed deer. Now, once we've done that, I'll go to other animals, and then I'll get, you know, the gel in different sections as far as what we need for that correct depth of penetration. But for now, what we have is we have 10 of these blocks that are cut to spec, and then we also have what I call a catch block, because that bullet is going to pass through. Now, once that bullet passes through, I want to be able to see what it's done. And instead of going, you know, searching dirt and everything, I'm going to have a full ballistics gel behind that. And so you're going to see what's going to happen to the animal. And then we can hopefully catch that bullet. And that way we can evaluate the bullet too. So you're getting realistic on the white-tailed deer, what's actually going to happen. And then we'll have that block to catch it. And then we'll have, you know, high definition, slow motion to show you the bullet going in, measure depth of penetration before expanding, etc., and debunk a bunch of myths. For this first video, we'll be comparing the Barnes Triple Shock, the TSX hunting bullets, and ELD match. Again, this video series is simply to showcase and debunk a bunch of stuff, showing where bullets, every bullet has their limitations, and showing where it can best be utilized, showing the difference between match bullets and hunting bullets, where they excel, where they fail, and also to debunk a lot of myths about match bullets, because there is a ton out there. You know, due to the Geneva Conventions, you know, the military can't use anything that's listed as hunting or expanding, and so match bullets aren't marketed for that, because that's what snipers use. Now, there's been some confusion lately because a lot of people have been debunking that whole thing. And so a lot of people's new arguments is they try to say now that match bullets aren't allowed by the military. And that was in the Geneva Conventions, which isn't actually correct. If that was the case, then snipers couldn't do their job, because snipers don't use full metal jackets. The Marine Corps and the Army have been using the 175 Sierra Match King for long as I can remember. But it's one of those things, they use match ammo. There's nothing in there about not using match ammo. It just can't be listed as hunting or expanding. Now, again, due to contracts, they don't advertise it for that. that doesn't mean that they don't expand. It just simply says they don't come out and say that. So match bullets work incredibly well. As I've said before, with bullet availability, trying to find stuff right now, I'm having a hard time trying to find some of the more popular hunting bullets to do that comparison with. But again, this is going to be an ongoing thing. And as we continue through, we'll continue with both different bullets, different cartridges, different velocity, stuff like that. And we're going to cover short range, 200 yards and in for the average whitetail hunter, 500 yards for medium range, where we're looking at most Western hunts, and then we're going to go into long range, and we're going to be out around around 800 yards or more to show and try to get it to that lowest impact velocity you require. A lot of people don't know that bullets, as far as their limitations, they have a minimum impact requirement for velocity, and that minimum impact velocity is going to dictate of when that bullet expands. People get hung up on energy, and energy really isn't that vital, because energy is overrated. It really is. And it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It doesn't mean it's not important. But people have an unrealistic expectation of energy. And the reason being is they're going based off, stuff from 50 years ago. The old school hunting bullets, they say, oh, well, you need 2,000 pounds of energy in order to kill. Well, that's not actually true. Back then it was, because the bullets being used required a minimum impact velocity of 2,200 feet per second. And so most bullets would have around 2,000 foot-pounds of energy at that point. And so they're judging it off the wrong thing. It's not that with a different bullet you can't kill further. It's that bullet's limitations, and that was at the minimum impact velocity. That was the foot-pounds of energy. And so people have a confusion about that. The bullet is the most important part. Energy is just a potential. A bullet doesn't have X amount of energy. It has the potential for energy. And that is directly based off the bullet's performance. So if it doesn't perform and expand, you're not going to get that full energy dump. If it pencils through without expansion because you're past that minimum impact velocity requirement, guess what? You're not getting a dump of energy. Will you get some? Yes, but you're not getting as much as you think. And so it's one of those things that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be debunked. And and I don't focus on energy. I focus on staying within that bullet's limits based on the minimum impact velocity. Because even at those velocities, even at the lowest ones with, like, say, the ELD match, you're still going to have enough energy to destroy that animal's entire internal organs and kill that animal dead on the spot. So, it's never been a factor. The only real factor in that, because again, you have that energy, as long as that bullet's performing, you're good. And that's where, hunting bullets have failed where match bullets work at long range. Most hunting style bullets, there are some that go lower, but most have a minimum impact velocity of 2,200 feet per second. But even some of the hybrid style ones, let's say you get down to 1,800, well, that's what your range is actually limited on. It doesn't matter your ability to shoot. It's based off the distance of which that bullet will perform based on that velocity. And so if you take a bullet that needs 2,200 feet per second and you shoot an animal at 1,800 feet per second, guess what? You're going to get poor performance. And if you don't hit it right, now, can you still kill it? Yes. But if you don't hit it in some place that's going to drop it, like the head, high shoulder shot, that animal's not going to get a lot of wounding, and it can result in a lost animal or a wounded animal. And so it's one of those things that, understanding this stuff and how it actually performs. And, we teach a lot of this. We have plenty of examples of bullet performance in the field, but it's one of those things, the whole reason I started in this gel, it wasn't so much to compare bullets. That has now become more the focus, but a lot of it's just to understand and getting clear gelatin, and you actually being able to see that temporary wound cavity open up, that hydraulic shock or hydrostatic shock, and seeing the difference, and as far as, especially what it does to each animal, because that's another one. People have an unrealistic expectation when it comes to animals. The one I hear all the time is weight, and weight's irrelevant. You're not shooting a whole 800-pound animal, you're shooting a section, and the weight of it isn't even a factor, because you're sitting there, and if you look at it, that bullet's going to go through. It doesn't care what weight. It only cares about impact resistance and depth of penetration. And as long as that bullet performs and you can penetrate, get that temporary wound cavity inside where you need it, And whether it exits or not, as long as you can get that damage in the correct spot, it's going to die. So people get really torn up and think that, oh, well, it'll work on a whitetail but won't work on an elk, when in reality, you're not talking that much difference between them. As far as, if you look, a whitetail's vitals is about here to here. An elk's here to here. I mean, this is all the difference that you have as far as that elk and a deer. It's really not a big difference in the vitals. I did another video on that where it actually went into specifics, but you know, a whitetail's vital, depending on where you're at, is anywhere between 8 and 10 inches. An elk is 15 inches. That's the penetration of vitals from one side to the next. So on an average whitetail buck, you're looking at a 5-inch difference. As long as that bullet, and even if it doesn't go fully through, people have another thing. They think pass-throughs are required, and it's not. That is coming from archery hunting. Now, archery hunting, when I'm out archery hunting, I always want an exit hole. I want 2 holes because the blood loss, better for tracking. And again, for an arrow, because arrows don't kill with energy, they kill just cutting. And blood loss, you want that. You want that exit hole. You want that thing bleeding out as much as possible. Bullets, on the other hand, are different. And again, we talk about that potential energy. If you look at that energy, if that bullet hits and it goes through here and it stops, that means it ran out of energy, which means you had the most potential energy possible. So not exiting is not a bad thing, because that means you've caused all the potential energy into that chest cavity, which is going to result in trauma. And the more trauma caused, the more damage caused, the faster that animal's going to die. And so if you can get a good performing bullet, even at longer ranges, let's say it doesn't exit, or even close ranges, and it does not exit, as long as it causes the correct terminal damage, you're not going to really have to worry about tracking. It's either going to drop there or it's not going to go far. You know, even on the cases where it hasn't exited, or even it has, I've never had one go more than 40 yards, ever. And they usually die right on the spot, even with behind the shoulder shots, because you're getting so much trauma. So again, we're going to dive into this, and it'll give you a physical, visual example of what's going on. And as I get more hides and different stuff, we'll continue through there. And again, same thing with bullets. We'll continue to try to do stuff like the CRTMK, Burger hybrids, you know, and then we'll also get into different hunting bullets. You know, the most absolutely worst hunting bullet possible, the core locks. I'll try to get some of those. Those are just horrendous. And we'll just continue through. So thanks for your patience. I know that everybody's anxious to see these videos, but again, got to do it right, and do it right the first time. And just the time constraints, and because I don't have a place here that I can just run out and do it anytime. I have to travel. So I'm looking at travel. I'm talking, I have to get lodging, and then I have to get to a range where I can basically shut down that range and utilize it, because I've got to keep running down range. I've got to set up the video. I've got to go back. I got to shoot. I got to go reset, shoot, go to the next distance, reset, shoot, continue. And that's really difficult, as far as, especially with the footage size of, you know, instead of getting little clips on there that I'm not spending 3 hours trying to get them done while I'm waiting for somebody else so I can go down range. So logistics wise, there is a lot going on, and it's not, I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to get it done right and get it right the first time. So there's been a lot of time and money, because again, I don't have any sponsors for this. I don't accept them. So all this, the ballistic gelatin, the cameras, the travel, hotels, all that is out of my pocket. So if I'm going to spend the time and money, we're going to do it right. This camera was definitely a good purchase. Honestly, I'll get some more of them, but for what we're doing, this is going to be a huge difference and allow you guys to see better what's happening and in better quality. So thanks guys for everything, and gals, happy hunting.
Hey.